Have you ever sat alone in your room at night, staring at the ceiling, whispering into the darkness, "God, why am I still single?" You watch people around you fall in love, get married, build families, while you're still waiting, still praying, still hoping that maybe this is the year something changes, and yet, nothing. Doors close, conversations fade, people leave, opportunities slip from your hands like sand, and sometimes you wonder, is something wrong with me? Has God overlooked me? Has heaven gone silent? But listen closely, what you call silence is actually God whisper and not delaying you. I'm preparing you. Your singleness is not a punishment. It is not rejection. It is preservation. It is alignment. It is divine strategy, working behind the scenes in ways you cannot see. I want to take you into a story today. A story that might feel like your own. A story that reveals what God is doing when nothing seems to be happening. There was once a young believer named Aiden. Aiden loved God deeply, but life often felt like an unanswered question. Every time he opened his heart to someone, something would break. The person would walk away, the connection would fade, or the relationship would crumble for reasons he couldn't explain. Though he smiled in public, his heart carried quiet disappointment. One night, overwhelmed with loneliness, he walked to the small hill near his home, the place he always went when he needed clarity, and he cried out, "God, why? Why am I still alone?" But heaven didn't thunder back. There was no booming voice, just a gentle breeze brushing across his face. Yet in that silence, something stirred inside him, a sense that God was listening, even if he wasn't answering the way Aiden wanted. And without Aiden realizing it, God had already started working. You see, Aiden didn't know that some relationships he prayed to keep were relationships God had to shut down. He didn't know that some people he loved carried intentions that would have poisoned his future. He didn't know that some connections, though attractive, were spiritually dangerous. God wasn't blocking love. He was blocking heartbreak disguised as love. Just like scripture warns, do not be unequally yoked, not to limit you, but to protect you, to keep your destiny safe. What Aiden believed was rejection was actually God's redirection. Weeks passed, and Aiden noticed something strange. Every time he tried to chase someone, the door closed. But every time he returned to God, peace opened. Slowly, he realized something. God wasn't just protecting him from wrong people, he was building him, strengthening him, grounding him. Late one evening, Aiden sat with his Bible open and read, "The wise man builds his house on the rock." And suddenly it made sense. God wasn't keeping someone from him. God was building the version of him who could handle the blessing. If his foundation wasn't strong, no relationship would survive the storms ahead. God was shaping his character, healing old wounds he kept ignoring, teaching him to stand alone so he wouldn't collapse with someone later. Aiden didn't know it, but God was preparing him for an assignment bigger than romance. His future wasn't small. His calling required someone who could walk beside him, not slow him down, someone who could pray with him, not pull him away, someone who could carry the weight of his purpose, not crumble under it. And that kind of partner requires time, divine timing. One night, exhausted from waiting, Aiden whispered, "God, everyone around me is moving forward. Why am I stuck?" And in that moment, his heart felt a soft response. Not in words, but in understanding. You are not stuck. You are being positioned. There is a difference between waiting and being hidden. Diamonds aren't displayed. They are discovered after being formed under pressure. Seeds aren't admired. They are planted underground until the right season. And Aiden, he was God's seed, hidden, not forgotten. Slowly, Aiden began recognizing the beauty of his alone time with God. His prayers grew deeper, his worship became personal, his faith strengthened. He stopped seeing his solitude as punishment and started seeing it as refinement. God was detoxing him from the need for validation, breaking his dependency on humans to feel loved, and teaching him that real companionship begins with God. And then one day, something unexpected happened. While volunteering at a small community event, something Aiden rarely did before he met someone. Not through dating apps, not through desperation, but through purpose. Her name was Liana. She wasn't flashy. She wasn't trying to impress anyone, but there was peace in her presence. Not the kind of peace that comes from charm, but the kind of peace that comes from God. Aiden didn't know it yet, but while God had been preparing him, God had also been preparing her. Their journeys were different, but their timing was the same. She had her own seasons of loneliness, her own tears, her own prayers, asking God the same questions he once asked. And now, in God's perfect timing, their paths met not by accident, but by alignment. They talked, they prayed, they shared their dreams. And for the first time in a long time, Aiden felt something he hadn't felt before. Clarity, not butterflies, not confusion. Clarity, the kind that scripture describes when it says, "He makes everything beautiful in his time," not your time, his. The more they talked, the more Aiden realized his waiting wasn't wasted. Every closed door made sense. Every lonely night had purpose. Every unanswered prayer had actually been answered in a way he couldn't see. If God had given him a relationship earlier, he wouldn't have been ready. The blessing would have broken him. But now, he was prepared. And one evening, as he walked again to that same hill where he once cried out in pain, this time he whispered a different prayer. Thank you for every delay that protected me, for every no that saved me, for every waiting season that shaped me. Aiden's story is not just his story, it's yours too. You are not forgotten. You are not behind. You are not being punished. You are being preserved, shaped, strengthened, prepared. God is aligning your destiny, sharpening your discernment, healing your heart, and preparing someone who matches your calling, not just your emotions. And when the right moment comes, and it will come, it won't feel forced. It won't feel confusing. It won't leave you questioning your worth. It will feel like peace. It will feel like purpose. It will glorify God. It will build you, not break you. You won't just find a partner. You will find a purpose partner. Until that moment arrives, hold this truth close to your heart. God's timing is perfect. His delays are protection. His silence is preparation. And his plan for you is worth every second of the wait. So keep walking, keep trusting, keep believing, because when God finally unfolds your story, it will be so beautiful that you will look back at this season and whisper, "It was worth it."